With great hopes that students and alumni will come out in huge numbers to mark this great year in history, homecoming shouldn't be the only reason why people will assemble this month. This November marks another significant day in history, Election Day. Now, I know you're asking why all of these changes, but medical experts' main concern is that more frequent screenings actually yield more false positive results. That alone lets you know that more doesn't necessarily mean better. One of the featured women in this great exhibit is Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. Here you can see her actual shoes bronzed for preservation. It's unique items and artifacts like this that continue to bring more and more people to this museum. It seems as if the residents in Wakulla County are very serious about this election. They've hit record numbers in the early voting process, which could play a big part in tonight's decision. Reporting in Wakulla for the FAMU News 20 Election Special, I'm Jasmine Harris. Looking for a sign? Well, there are plenty of them out as hopefuls campaign during this election season. Wakulla County is looking for its new elected officials in the Sheriff's Department, on the Board of Commissioners, and School Board, to name a few. But it seems like the county may not have to stray too far away from who's already in place. County Administrator David Edwards says Wakulla is on the up and up.
Well, in the past 2 years, over the past 2 years, we have went from a minus $2 million deficit to a positive $1 million deficit in the county. We've also we have the fifth lowest unemployment rate in the entire state of Florida. Also, all of our other leading economic indicators are beginning to trend upward.
But some residents in Wakulla aren't feeling the effects of those positive trends within the county. Residents Todd Powers and Julie Sutherland both say they haven't reaped the benefits.
We haven't seen that yet, to be honest. There's probably 850,000 people in the state of Florida without jobs, 23 million in the United States, and it hasn't turned around at all, to be honest.
Well, I have lived in Wakulla County for almost 3.5 years. I am a little worried about the economy. I see some of it growing, but not enough.
Yet and still, the Board of Commissioners believe that their proposed 5-year plan that will take effect this year will help lower the burden on taxpayers. Their main concern is to make sure that Wakulla continues to grow financially to help promote its businesses and increase jobs. And residents will decide who the best candidates are to get that job done. For the longest, women have been taught to get annual mammograms and pap smears to maintain good health. But national guidelines have shifted and now urge less frequent screenings. Junior pre-physical therapy student Chantel Shippey stresses how she feels about the changes.
We tend to go to the doctor or the emergency room too much, and that is a problem, when stuff can go back to preventative care. Now that we do have the new healthcare reform and act and on its way, we can go because we have the actual options now, but we don't need to go as much.
Back in 2009, the United States Preventive Task Force cited that mammography screenings be changed from annually to every 2 years. And earlier in March, the American Cancer Society recommended cervical cancer screenings with the pap smear no more than every 3 years. Now, I know you're asking why all of these changes, but medical experts' main concern is that more frequent screenings actually yield more false positive results. That alone lets you know that more doesn't necessarily mean better. The recommendation is not meant to alter women's freedom to access their medical practitioners. What experts are hoping is that this shift in cancer screenings will have a more positive effect on women's health care. Administrator of the Leon County Health Department, Homer Rice, stresses that these new guidelines are only used for prevention.
First, you have to understand the reason behind the screenings. Why we do the screenings are to prevent injury and death. Okay? If you do screenings too often that are not necessary, you can invoke harm on the individual. There's psychological harm as well as physical harm.
125. 125 years.
Yes, you heard correctly. This homecoming marks the 125th anniversary when this great institution painted the city of Tallahassee orange and green. With top-notch events and even better food, it's safe to say Rattlers know how to show up and show out for this great celebration.
125 years of excellence with caring.
And And in the midst of all that's gone on this past year, the Rattler spirit is still striking as something that will never disappoint. FAMUans old and new showed up in droves to help commemorate this grand milestone. With great hopes that students and alumni will come out in huge numbers to mark this great year in history, homecoming shouldn't be the only reason why people will assemble this month. This November marks another significant day in history, Election Day.
America is a place where all things are possible. We're still wonders.
Around this time 4 years ago, Barack Obama was elected the first African-American president of our United States. And with the support of the youth vote, students like those at FAMU helped President Obama enter office and claim his second term as president. Supervisor of Elections Ian Sancho stresses the importance of the young people's vote.
And then what we see in 2012 is that the youth vote was critical. And in fact, they turned out when all of the political pundits thought, well, they're not going to turn out. In fact, they did.
And FAMU students made sure their opinions were heard as they packed out the Recreation Center Tuesday night for the election watch party. For the 2012 Homecoming Special, Jasmine Harris reporting. An armed robbery this morning at FSU has students concerned for their safety. That's tonight's top story. Last night, a female was leaving her residence when she was approached by a male carrying a handgun. After the man demanded her belongings, he fled toward West Park Avenue and Copeland Street. Authorities have not found a suspect. The victim was not harmed, but students are still uneasy.